Hey, what's going on, everyone? This is Mike Kollin at MikeKollin.com. You know, the reason why I started waiting to speak until after it said emotional freedom like it just did a few seconds ago is because that really is the message of this channel. As I've said in the past, when you completely let go, there's an artery in the lower reptilian brain that will open up, and when you completely fall in love, completely let go, you are opening up to God. All of a sudden you have this amazing awareness called divine awareness. You are suddenly tuned into nature. You can sense emotions and feelings better. You can sense animals. Animals can sense you. Now here's what it is. You are going, so we're talking about animals like deer, like that. You are entering their world, the five senses: see, hear, feel, smell, and taste. It's kind of funny because humans are supposed to be the higher intelligent beings. And I would say on a logical level we are, but the logical level is beneath the emotional level. Okay, so the right brain is the 3D brain. It's also the open brain to receive higher knowledge. So animals like deer and stuff like that, they don't work with tools. They don't do bank accounts and math and science and taxes. So their way of thriving in the world is to see, hear, feel, smell, and taste, because that's the world they're in, the 3D dimension, whereas math and business and science is two-dimensional. And that's why people that are only two-dimensional, and if you don't believe me, you can look it up. The left brain is the two-dimensional brain. And that's fine because it's really good with math, business, and science. And that's what it's for. For people who are trying to become aware of God in the left brain, it's like, well, that's the closed box. That literally is the closed door. So essentially, to open up to, call it higher power, God, higher intelligence, whatever, you have to open up to your right brain. You have to ground yourself emotionally. You have to reconnect with yourself and be rooted and grounded into the earth. Okay? So as I said in a past video, some people say, oh, well, that's only the third dimension. Well, yeah, but if you don't plug in, you can't open up, which means you can't go to a higher level, which means you're stuck on the second dimension. So you're much better off for spiritual purposes, for relationship purposes, because the right brain is the relationship brain. The left brain is not. Have you ever heard Christians talk about it's a relationship with God? Well, they're right, technically. The challenge is they're saying it as if it's like a rule, like here's what you're supposed to say. You have to actually learn how to open up and be emotionally grounded to have a relationship with God, meaning you have to come into the garden, so to speak, because when you open up to the right brain, you are now back in the garden. So here's something I want to say again is you are not a filthy rag. You are not dirty in God's eyes. In fact, the real you are not dirty at all. The core you, the real true you, is beautiful. You are this beautiful, clean, clear, white light. Okay, so let's talk about parts briefly. Okay, it's a technique we learned called parts integration. And in energy healing, it is healing the charges because energy will be pushed outside of you and it begins to crystallize, and that's what we call stuck energy. So that one part will have its own personality, its own rules, its own values, its own beliefs, etc. Here's what happens. In the beginning, it knows that it's part of the whole, that it's part of the core you. Okay, so like you took a drop of your water, a drop of the energy, and you pushed it out because you got scared in kindergarten, the first day of kindergarten, or someone might have hurt you, attacked you, or a loud noise or something, and you got so scared you pushed it out. Like, you deal with it, I'm not dealing with it. So now the little tiny part of you that's like 3.5 years old, or 1.5, or 4.5 years old, is pushed out there in the world all by itself and has to defend and protect itself. The problem is this part of you is a little child. So if you're even 13, 14, 15 years old, you would be much better off dealing with real life issues from all the knowledge you have gained as a 12, 13, 14, 15, 20, 25, 30, 45, 50, 55, 60-year-old person, because you have massive amounts of knowledge and experience. There's things that you've done that worked, things that you did that didn't work, and you learn as you go along. So when we get hurt, what we do, or something hurts us or scares us, we will unconsciously push that part and say, you deal with it, that's your job, because the core us is like, no, I don't want to deal with my fears, I don't want to deal with my pain. And then on top of that, people out in the world are attacking these little parts. Now you have to remember, these little parts, number one, are little. They don't hold much actual energetic physical weight, and they're children. So now the world's beating them down. Narcissists are attacking them, and they want to come back in, but you're like, no, you close the door and you won't let them in. So they're just getting their ass kicked. So that little part of you goes up into your forehead area, into your ego, and it acts like a filter, and you're perceiving the world through this. Now remember, these little children parts of you, they only have the knowledge and strategies to deal with situations like this that they had when they were pushed out at the age of 3 or 3.5 or 1.5 or 6 months old. So they don't have very good strategies or educated or experienced strategies to deal with anything, and yet you're like, yeah, you deal with it, and the whole world's looking at you like, God, why are you being so childish? Well, because that part of you is a child. And it is literally doing the best it can with what it has, but the problem is it doesn't have very many experiences. It doesn't have the strategies. It only has what it had when it was kicked out. That's it. So number one, when you are struggling, like sometimes when I learn a new computer thing for my website, I kind of stressed out, I have anxiety, but I just kind of take a step back, say, you know what, you always go through this, and every time you finally get into it, the pieces start to fit together, and you do usually an app or whatever, you can contact the company and they will chat with you through the chat box. And I'm like, hey, you got support here, so they'll help you like walk through it. You'll figure it out eventually. So here's my message. Even if you fail, even if you struggle, even if you get fear or whatever, be supportive of yourself. It's really, really important to be supportive of yourself, and also realize and even say this, hey, I'm doing the best I can. And you need to literally like look inside your chest area, your heart, your solar plexus or belly or whatever area is kind of tightening up or feeling, heavy or whatever the emotional feeling is. And you need to kind of look at it and talk to it and say, hey, you know what? It's okay. You're doing the best you can. I'm with you. It's okay. I'm not going to get mad at you. And each time this part or any part comes up, whether it's guilt, shame, fear, or anxiety, whatever, be there for it. Support it. Tell it, hey, I love you. It's okay. It's okay that we messed up. It's okay that we're feeling this emotion right now. I love you. You're going to be fine. We're going to get through this. Don't worry about it. And also recognize and say to it, I realize you're doing the best you can, and everything's going to be fine. We're going to heal eventually, and it's going to work out. Now here's the thing. When you begin to have compassion towards yourself, which is your parts, they begin to trust you again. Because what happened was you kicked them out a long time ago, and you forgot about them. And it's like, nope, that's your job. You deal with that. And you closed the door, and they had no way to come back home. And the narcissists of the world, the bullies, the mean people, they recognize that. They're like, oh, there's a part I can attack that. And then on top of it, you get mad, or you used to, at least before you listen to this video, and you literally yell at yourself and say, oh, I'm such an idiot, oh, I'm so stupid. You're saying that to a 1-year-old or 6-month-old or 3.5-year-old child. That's what you're doing. You're punishing this innocent little child who doesn't have the education, who doesn't have the experience, but you do. And this is what they mean when they say take responsibility. It literally means the ability to respond. As an adult, as a young adult, as an older adult, you have a lifetime of movies that you've seen, books that you've read, teachers that you listened to, and heard things that even if you got bored, you didn't really listen, it went in. You have a lifetime of watching how people dealt with situations, whether it was a teacher and another student, whether it was you and the teacher, you and another student, watching your parents, just like yourself, like you did this, man, that didn't work out, but you learned from that. You have a lifetime of experience from watching other people make mistakes, or how did they deal with, oh, that's a really good way, oh, okay. And it's all there in your memory banks. So you're the one who has the experience and is prepared. Now, here's the thing. You're like, Mike, I'm not prepared. No. That's a part of you. That's that little child that's speaking. So wherever you felt that, whether it was in your forehead, your throat, or your heart, or solar plexus, or belly, or wherever, look at it and say, it's okay. We got this. We can do this. I'm on your side. I'm going to take care of this. I'm going to take responsibility, the ability to respond. And this is why some people are powerful. It's not because they were born this way. It's not because they got lucky. It's because they took action. For example, one of the things that I really hate is technology. Although I've gotten pretty good at it. A lot of people look at my website like, God, how did you do that? I've got all these apps that I've downloaded on. I'm working this, I'm doing SEO, HTML, updating my Google Analytics code, etc. And years ago, that stuff was like, it not only did it terrify me, I hired people to do it. But one thing I learned about, like when I first started learning about computers, like, okay, notice how I say Google Analytics. It's funny because I'm an extremely left brain guy, but I don't like the left brain. Not that I don't like the left brain, but I don't like logic. I don't like analytics. And people are like, yeah, but you're a really logical guy. It's like, that may be true, but I really, really, really love right brain stuff. That's like, okay, let's take psychology, NLP, hypnosis, therapy, communication, linguistics. I took to that like a bee to honey, or however you want to say that. All right, let's put it this way. I never worked on cars until about 4 years ago when my mechanic said, look, I can't get to this for at least a week. I am booked a week out. He goes, here's 3 tools. That's all it is. You just got to do this, and do that. And I was like, dude, I can't do it because cars used to intimidate the crap out of me. So he goes, go watch some YouTube videos. Watch about 2 or 3 YouTube videos. Trust me, you'll be able to do it. And that's something I learned years before about computers. Is I would go to the Apple store, and the only reason why I really learned how to use computers because Apple had this, you could go to any class any day. And so I live in the Bay Area, so we've got Apple stores everywhere. So you just go to the computer, like, where's the class for this one thing I got to learn? So you could attend any class, even if you didn't even own an Apple product. You could just walk in, sit down, and pay attention, take notes, etc. And then they had this program when you bought an Apple computer. In fact, actually, you didn't have to do that. You could just pay So let's say you had a used computer, an old computer. If you paid $99, you could, for an entire year, get one-on-one coaching, just you and someone from the Apple store on something that they specialize in, like, iMovie or whatever, And so I did that every single week for like 5 years or 7 years. And every time I had to learn something from my business, like how to use pages or how to use numbers or how to use iMovie, I was terrified. So I would go to a couple classes, whether it was here in San Francisco, one of the stores there, and I'd kind of get an idea of it, and then I'd do my one-on-one coaching for it. And then at that point, I had an idea, like, okay, I'm kind of getting it. And here's one thing I learned, even in the one-on-one coaching, like they might show me something, be like, that just went right over my head, and like I didn't get it at all. And they're like, okay, have a good day. And I went home feeling like, what a waste of time. But what I learned is my brain would amalgamate. It would start putting the pieces together. It would kind of mull through the things it heard and would begin to connect the pieces from one class to another, from what the person in the one-on-one coaching said, from what I saw them do on my computer, what they had me do. And I started to become more patient, and I began to realize, like, just show up. Just go. Even if you feel like you walked out of that class going, I have no idea what the hell they said, or when you get home you're like, I don't even remember where they started. Like, where do we start? Like, where's the app, or where's the whatever? My brain the next morning would be like, oh, I remember. So my brain would have to mull through things, and it would put the pieces together. So that became part of my strategy, not only for computers, but cars as well. So now I call myself a YouTube mechanic. I'm changing starters, I'm changing spark plugs, cap and rotor, freaking like belts, hoses. I mean, like cleaning stuff out from the throttle body to the MAF sensor to all kinds of stuff. I'm learning like little secrets, like this one little thing will help your car do that. I got my car running in peak condition. I had that car for years, and also this car is like zoom, 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 and the gas mileage went up. Like the littlest things, like I did not know that would affect the gas mileage. One thing I started doing when I was probably about 18 or maybe in high school, and especially when I got to college, was and it was because I took a speed reading course, and they said, look, you should really read the chapter of a class that you're going to take that week before you go to the class, and then reread it again. And what I learned is when you read it the second time, your brain starts putting the pieces together, and all of a sudden something that you couldn't understand, you're like, oh, I get it now. So then you go to class, you take 3 classes a week in college, and you reread the chapter again, and you're like, man, all of a sudden this whole thing that you thought you couldn't do, all of a sudden you could do. All of a sudden it made sense. So then when it came to neuro-linguistic programming books and, that kind of cognitive behavioral psychology, Tony Robbins books, etc., I would read a book a minimum of 3 times to 5 times. Now, some of them, I read Tony Robbins' book, Awaken the Giant Within, 13 times. I listened to the Home Practitioner course for NLP. Now, that is a long freaking series of training tapes. There's, 2, 4, 6, 8. 4 times 8 is what? 32 plus the... Yeah, I think it's 32 tapes. And these are like an hour and a half to 2.5 hour long tapes. I listened to that series 13 times. The Master Practitioner, I listened to 3 times. The Trainer's Training twice. And I went to the trainings multiple times. So my only, if I could I'm just giving you a tip on a strategy I use. I just keep repeating stuff over and over, and the pieces start to fit in. The more you do something, all of a sudden it starts to make sense. And these are even subjects. Now, the NLP and psychology, I just took to, how they say, like a duck to water. Like, this was just my bread and butter. Like, this was just my world. Whereas a car, computers, I really didn't like it. I didn't have my heart into it. It wasn't my thing, but I had to do it. And so what happened was I just applied the same strategy, and all of a sudden, boom, I'm fixing stuff I've never even done before. I'll watch a YouTube video over and over. I'll watch another one. Oh, I see how you're doing that. Oh, okay. So the overall message really is go easy on your parts, go easy on yourself, and remind yourself, hey, I'm doing the best I can, okay? And be a little bit softer. Don't put so much pressure on yourself. Just go to the class, show up, take notes, and if it doesn't make sense, be okay with it. Just take it again. Read the book again, watch the video again, etc., etc. Now, the ultimate way you heal parts is by what I'm talking about, self-love. Be kind to yourself. Remind yourself, hey, I get it. You're doing the best, to your part. Like, you're doing the best you can, or we're doing the best we can. We're moving forward. We're going to get it. So when you talk to yourself like this, you're essentially opening up your heart to these parts to come back in and integrate with yourself again. So now all of a sudden that anxiety, that fear that you had to doing maybe new things, suddenly it dissipates or goes away 50% or 60% or more. See, earlier on in this video I said, like the narcissist can really spot out parts of you, and that's what they go after, and they really brutalize them. And then on top of it, number one, you won't let them in. And then on top of that, you get mad when they don't do the job right. And you're like, well, he doesn't have the right strategy. And you're like, well, why not? Because he was 2 years old when you kicked him out. So now this part of you is getting kicked around not only by the narcissist or the mean people. It's also getting kicked around by you, and it goes into pure survival mode. So it began to do anything and everything it could to just survive, to make it on its own. Because you didn't leave it any choice. So a lot of you say, well, how come it doesn't integrate? Why isn't it coming home? I've been self-loving for 5 days. It's like, because it realized at a very, very young age, hey, it's up to me. If it's meant to be, it's up to me, because that person is not helping me. That person is not supporting me. They're not there for me. And not only that, but you forgot about these parts. You abandoned them a long, long time ago. And then you wonder why you have abandonment issues. Because you abandoned you. Are you starting to see how this works now? See, if you punish you, people outside of you will punish you. If you abandon you, people outside of you abandon you. It's not because they abandon you, it's because you abandoned you. If you speak bad about you, so will other people, because you're teaching people how to treat you. Haven't you ever heard, like I remember my pastor said, Michael, you're teaching people how to treat you, so you got to treat yourself better, and you got to hold them to a standard. You can't allow people to treat you that way. But that's really not what it is. You need to be better to you, and that's when people will start to be better to you. But Mike, I've been doing it for like 5 days and it's not happening. It's like, it's going to take a lot longer than that, man. And here's why. So that part had to learn how to survive and become strong on its own, getting beat up by each and every person it runs into, including you. So it's literally stuck between a rock and a hard place. Have you ever wondered why you felt like you were stuck between a rock and a hard place? Because you closed the door, and now it's shoved out there in the world, so it's stuck in between you and everyone else. So number one, the way that you treat yourselves, those parts of you inside those charges, is the way the external world would treat you. This is the way it works. I know, because I've gone through these clearings and healings for 30 years, and when they begin to integrate, when they begin to heal and come back home, all of a sudden it's like, wow, people don't talk to me like that. People don't treat me that way. It's like it just boom, one by one by one. If you're trying to get other people to respect you externally, it'll never work. It'll just be battle after battle, arguing and fighting and people playing games, blah, blah, blah. You truly have to begin to respect yourself, which includes walking away from people that are mean to you, walking away from people that are playing games, walking away from people that don't value you. If you want to be valued, you have to value you. Once that becomes a growth, it's that when that self-love begins to grow, becomes a habit, when you begin to value yourself more and more, that energy will reflect out in the real world, because people are going to come by and go, oh yeah, I can't treat this person like that. Otherwise they walk away, or they fight back, or they stand up for themselves. So number two, remember, this thing has learned to make it on its own. It's not going to rely on you, because it knows, because you're not there for it. And it's not going to suddenly, oh, this person has been paying attention to me for 5 days now, oh, I'm just going to give up all that protection, self-help, and standing up for myself, and I'm just going to fall right back into this person, and I'm going to trust them, right? In other words, it's going to take time and actual real-life consistency for it to even think about trusting you. This is a relationship you have to build. It has to be consistent. It's consistency. So if you want trustworthy people around you, you're going to have to become a trustworthy person to yourself. The internal affects the external, not the other way around. So love yourself until you become this ball of loving energy that people want to be around, that people just want to love. So If you guys like this video, please click subscribe, click the like button, make a comment, and also there is a donation box right there or a donation link, a PayPal link right there in the description box. And remember, I am certified in all of these technologies, from an NLP trainer, Master Ericksonian hypnotherapist, Master Timeline therapist, energy healer, Reiki, Huna, pranic healing, etc. I can help you walk through this stuff. I can do energy healing and definitely do parts integration, and we can increase this process. So I hope you enjoyed this video. What I'm going to do, I don't want my videos to be too long. I'm going to start another video. It's going to be part 2 to this. Okay, so the next video, we're going to talk a little bit about shame and clearing off the external energy, etc., so you can become a more whole, complete human being that's more solid, grounded, more powerful being who can get more out of life and really begin to be a truly happy person. I've had my prices down for about 3.5 years because of the lockdowns and everything. So the economy's picking up. I'm starting to make money, so I'm going to be raising my prices soon, like really soon. I might even do it tonight or tomorrow. So if you guys want to get in, so essentially what I was doing, I dropped it from $250 down to $125 per session. Now remember, sessions with me are about an hour to an hour and a half long, approximately. Okay, so it's not your typical hour-long session. It's usually a little bit more. So I'm going to keep the sliding scale for people who mention this video. Okay, so the sliding scale dropped. It used to be $250 per session. Now it's $125 up to $250. So it's a sliding scale. So just whatever you can comfortably afford. And I'll let this go on for 30 days. So if you get a session in within the next 30 days, today's April 15th, this will probably come out on about April 20th or so, maybe 22nd. So I'll let it go till the 22nd of next month. That would be May 22nd, okay? Okay, that's it for this video. God bless you guys. I'll see you in the next video. And if you want, go ahead and enjoy the music. Alright, bye-bye.